The Pro Wrestling Almanac Podcast. Celebrating professional wrestling from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. For wrestling fans, by wrestling fans. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Almanac Podcast. I am your host, Tristan, along with my other hosts. You remember Mike from last week, and we got a new one. We got Chad here. He's like the kid that, you know, sits in the corner and eats dirt, and our mom tells us we have to play with him. So we let him into our podcast. How you guys doing today?
Oh, not too bad.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
First one to talk there was Chad, so you can see that my description of him was fairly apt. He's my cousin.
Gotta love
so
family.
Yeah, he's my cousin, so I'm allowed. I'm not just allowed. I'm pretty sure I'm obligated to treat him like dirt. But so you'll notice no squeaking this week. I realized I couldn't even listen to my own podcast because of that terrible squeaking, so I switched out chairs and don't have a fan running, so I'll probably be sweating bullets by the end of the show because I'm basically in a closet. But it should at least be a lot easier to listen to, including for my co-hosts.
That's why I have mute.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's been going on the last week, guys? How y'all been?
I'm good, trying to get used to this Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. You've only been there, what, 4 or 5 months? 6 months?
I've been here 8 months.
8 months. Yeah, Chad's a newlywed. Got married back in February, I think on the 18th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You remember better than I do.
I remember everything. It's kind of sad. But, what's going on with you, Mike? Just, you got hockey ramping up again for the girls?
Yeah, girls start. Taylor starts playing hockey again next week, and Michaela is bugging the ever-living crap out of me to start playing hockey, so I think we're going to sign her up for Christmas. So, and then hockey season for me gets completely underway come late September, early October with the AHL season. So I'll be busy.
That's when you ref, right?
Well, I don't ref. I'm an off-ice official, so I'm the guy that's in the penalty box or goal judge or one of those positions.
Just got too fat for your ankles to support your body on skates, right?
No, it's not that. I can't find skates that are fucking big enough for me to wear.
Because you got too fat.
No. I can lose the weight. You're still going to be ugly.
Well, that's true, but I mean, you're 400 pounds. You're the only person that I know that goes around cracking holes in rink ice. But
nah, I'm not 400 yet.
Okay,
yet.
Sorry, 390.
Don't drink that glass of water, Mike.
Oh, of course not. Of course not.
Oh boy. Unfortunately for you, Mike, you missed the NXT show that was down in your neighborhood this last weekend.
I did. I wish I could have gone. Like I said, we went the last time they were out here at the Palladium. Absolutely loved it. My daughter, her first WWE wrestling event, first wrestling event period, absolutely enjoyed it. I mean, like I said, the look on her face when Shinsuke came out and when Bobby Roode came out to their entrance music, I mean, I will never forget how excited she was, and I would have loved to have been there for this one, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, Chad knows. Chad and I went to Extreme Rules 2011, which I brought up last week, seeing The Miz lose his title there. And Chad can tell you, my son never seen John Cena in person. He just had a John Cena toy. We were up in the nosebleeds, and when John Cena came out, Logan was holding on to the railing and jumping to the point where I thought he was going to fly over the railing. There's something about that dude that just kids just love it.
It's just wrestling, period. I mean, you and I were joking about it earlier. I mean, my middle daughter, Michaela, will occasionally, you know, when she was not having to go to preschool in the morning, would sit up and watch NXT with me and Taylor, and she has absolutely fallen in love with Bobby Roode's entrance. So much so that anytime you utter the word glorious, she breaks into chorus from the song to the point where when we were at Christmas Eve Mass, sitting in the third row at the church, and the priest goes, "It is a glorious time for Christmas." Michaela starts screaming Bobby Roode's theme song in church.
Man!
I think it's just kids in general that enjoy.
You can't say that. You really can't say that, because I remember one time, this goes way back. I mean, where I'm from is kind of the mecca of where guys start out in wrestling, especially for the WWE. I mean, growing up away from Florida
the mecca
wrestling. Well, yeah, lately, but even growing up, I mean, all the wrestlers lived in Florida. So, and then going to FCW with Tristan and his son for his son's first wrestling event,
and Katie.
No, Katie wasn't there.
Katie wasn't at that one, but she went. With the Titus incident.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
And we were sitting front row at FCW, and Titus O'Neil wins his match, comes over, and
he had just turned face.
And picks up Logan, and Logan just I thought he was going to die.
He looked at me. He gave me this look like, "Why are you feeding me to this giant man?" Oh, it gets better. Titus looks all scared and panicky and just kind of throws him back to me. And then after the show, Logan walks up to Titus and says, "I wasn't crying because you scared me, you know. The music was loud and it hurt my ears." He's like, "Okay, buddy, whatever you got to tell yourself."
And then I got put into a headlock.
And then you got put into a headlock.
That is hilarious.
Yep. We've had some fun times with wrestling. And that's, the whole point of this podcast. And that kind of segs into our, we're kind of starting, can't really say it's a new segment because it's our second show. It's a segment we haven't done yet. We're going to go ahead and call it the Wrestling Results Roundup. And in that, we're just going to go through the results for the week. No discussion, no anything. We're just going to float right through it. And then after that's done, we'll come back and we'll just discuss certain elements of those shows, big story items, what have you. So we're going to go ahead and go to that Wrestling Results Roundup. The Wrestling Results Roundup. Okay, so this segment is going to be where we will bring you the results from the shows that occurred throughout the week. It's going to be from the big companies, WWE, GFW, Ring of Honor, New Japan, etc. And we will also bring you results from indie promotions that we've covered on this show. So we'll be bringing you the results from the last Lucha Libre Laughs show, and we'll bring you results of theirs from future shows, as well as the results from shows of other indie promotions that we cover as this podcast goes on. On NXT, Street Profits beat the Metro Brothers. Danny Burch beat Oney Lorcan in an incredible match. And Andrade Cien Almas beat No Way Jose. On Lucha Underground, the Rabbit Tribe of Paul London, Salvador, and Mala Suerte beat the Worldwide Underground, PJ Black, Taya, and Ricky Mandel. Mil Muertes beat Jeremiah Crane in a quarterfinal match of the Cueto Cup, and Pentagon Dark beat Tejano in a quarterfinal match for the Cueto Cup. On GFW Impact Wrestling, Marufuji and El Hijo de Fantasma beat Laredo Kid and Garza Jr., Congo Kong beat Grotto and Joseph Park, the Unified GFW World Tag Team Champions LAX beat the Veterans of War, Taiji Ishimori beat ACH to advance to the finals of the Super X Cup, and in the main event, Lashley, Loki, and Trevor Lee beat GFW Unified World Heavyweight Champion Alberto El Patron, X Division Champion Sanjay Dutt, and Matt Sydal. On Night 17 of the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax 27, In the preliminary matches, El Desperado, Taichi, and Minoru Suzuki beat Katsuya Kitamura, Tomoyuki Oka, and Hirai Kawato. The Gorillas of Destiny beat Bushi and Sanada. Juice Robinson and Satoshi Kojima beat Hiromu Takahashi and Evil. Funky Future, Michael Elgin, and War Machine beat the Young Bucks, Chase Owens, Cody, and Hangman Page. Toru Yano and Kazuchika Okada beat Yujiro Takahashi and Kenny Omega. And in the A Block tournament matches, Bad Luck Fale beat Yuki Nagata. Toji Makabe beat Yoshihashi. Zack Sabre Jr. beat Tomohiro Ishii in one of the best matches I have ever seen. Hiroki Goto beat Kota Ibushi, and Tetsuya Naito beat Hiroshi Tanahashi. On WWE Main Event, Apollo Crews beat Kurt Hawkins, and Elias beat Kalisto. On night 18 of New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 27, in the preliminary matches, Taka Michinoku, El Desperado, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru beat Hirai, Tiger Mask, Jushin Thunder Liger, and Kushida. Yoshihashi, Tomohiro Ishii, and Hiroki Goto beat Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, and Tonga Loa. Cody, the Young Bucks, Bad Luck Fale, and Hangman Page beat Katsuya Kitamura, Funky Future, and War Machine. Hiroshi Tanahashi, David Finlay, and Kota Ibushi beat Hiromi Takahashi, Bushi, and Tetsuya Naito. And in the B Block tournament matches, Juice Robinson beat Michael Elgin, Tama Tonga beat Sanada, Toru Yano beat Minoru Suzuki, Evil beat Satoshi Kojima, and Kenny Omega beat Kazuchika Okada in yet another incredible outing. In the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Classic Final, Taka Michinoku, El Desperado, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru beat Hirai Kawato, Tiger Mask, Kushida, and Jushin Thunder Liger. The Gorillas of Destiny beat Manabu Nakanishi and Yuji Nagata. Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto beat David Finlay and Toji Makabe. Juice Robinson, Satoshi Kojima, and Hiroyoshi Tenzan beat Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, and Bad Luck Fale. Funky Future, the team of Ricochet and Ryusuke Tagashi, beat the Young Bucks to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. War Machine beat Cody and Hangman Page. Hiroshi Tanahashi, Michael Elgin, and Kota Ibushi beat Minoru Suzuki, Zack Sabre Jr., and Takashi Iizuka. Hiromu Takahashi, Sanada, Evil, and Bushi beat Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, and Jito. And in the finals of the G1 Climax 27 tournament, Tetsuya Naito beat Kenny Omega. On Ring of Honor TV, Punishment Martinez beat Flip Gordon, Rhett Titus beat Cheeseburger, Kushida and Kenny King fought to a no contest, and then teamed up and beat Marty Scurll and Hangman Page. At Lucha Libre and Laughs Killing the Business, Caleb Crush beat Xander Creed. Kikutaro and Cormac Battle beat the Cult Awakens, which is the team of I Am the Provider and I Am the Prophet. Mike Seidel beat Royce Isaacs to become the #1 contender to the Lucha Libre and Laughs Heavyweight Championship. Lucha Libre and Laughs Tag Team Champions, the Left Coast Gorillas, beat Danger Dean and Cody Devine. And Lucha Libre and Laughs Heavyweight Champion Lonnie Valdez beat Lucha Libre and Laughs Light Heavyweight Champion The Miracle That Is Tony in a heavyweight championship match. On WWE Raw, Sasha Banks beat Nia Jax to become the #1 contender to the Raw Women's Championship. Akira Tozawa beat Neville to win the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Bray Wyatt beat Finn Balor, Mickie James beat Emma, Jason Jordan beat The Miz in a non-title match by disqualification, and then Jason Jordan and the Hardy Boys teamed up to take on the Miztourage of The Miz, Curtis Axel, and Bo Dallas. On WWE SmackDown Live, Natalya beat Becky Lynch, Rusev and Chad Gable fought to a double countout, the Usos beat Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods in a non-title match. John Cena beat WWE Champion Jinder Mahal in a non-title match. And then, in what is probably the biggest wrestling story of the week, Baron Corbin cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase on Jinder Mahal and lost. And finally, on WWE 205 Live, Cedric Alexander and Gran Metalik beat Tony Nese and Drew Gulak, The Brian Kendrick beat Mustafa Ali, and Arya Daivari beat Rich Swann. And that's all for this week's Wrestling Results Roundup. Yeehaw! Okay, so that is the results from the last week. We're going to go ahead and jump right into probably the biggest news item, wrestling related in a long time, the severe health problems that Ric Flair is going through. So, originally over the weekend, they were talking about it like it was a heart problem, and then it's been said that it's not a heart problem, and then somebody talked about it being like colon surgery and that he had an intestinal blockage that was causing problems, but then apparently that's not it. And then now we find out, along with being in an induced coma, he was also having multiple organ failures. So, guys, it kind of looks like that Ric Flair might not be long for this world, guys.
Well, his fiancée, Wendy Barlow, posted a update. I don't know exactly when this was, but it says, just want to give an update to my friends and family as I have been unable to talk on the phone without crying, and I just feel shocked over the events. I took Rick into the hospital Friday night with severe abdominal pains. From that moment on, it all seems like a nightmare. Multiple organ problems. Not too good in too many details. I want everyone to know he still needs prayers, and he is still in condition, and no, he did not have colon surgery. It was another surgery. I don't know how the media comes up with their stories. I've been by his side since Friday and will continue to make sure he is getting the best care possible. Thanks for all of the support and love.
Okay, so it sounds like people are maybe making up their own stories, even people that know Flair, but from the sounds of it, he's not doing so well.
Well, TMZ is reported earlier today at 1:31 Pacific time that Flair is still in critical condition and suffering from multiple organ problems. This, according to the wrestler's fiance. My biggest thing is that I'm wondering about it. First of all, I mean, just for myself, thoughts and prayers out to Rick and his family.
Absolutely.
We never want anybody to have to go through this. My question I do have is, what do you think will happen if, God forbid, Flair passes during the SummerSlam pay-per-view?
Well, they'll make note of it for sure. It's not insignificant. It's not insignificant that Charlotte is not on the SummerSlam card.
Yes. Now, here's the thing, though, and this is something that in today's day and age, I don't think we've ever had a scenario like this where there is the possibility where the crowd, with smartphones now and with the social media, that the crowd will know this happened before the WWE even has a chance to address it to fans. So, is there a possibility that we may see them, stop a match or have the announcers in the middle of the match announce?
No, I doubt they would do it in the middle of the match. Strictly because, one, if they stop the match, there's going to be problems with the crowd, the people that don't know what's happening. So they won't stop the match. What they will probably do is, if it were to happen during SummerSlam, they would announce it as soon as they could, probably over a live mic, so the crowd hears it as well. And at that moment, they will give him a 10-bell salute. And then the next night on Raw or on the WWE Network, because you know how the WWE team is. They could probably have a Ric Flair retrospective ready to go before SummerSlam goes off the air.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, truthfully, for some of these wrestlers, especially getting up there in age, that they probably already have packages ready for them no matter what.
Possibly.
Well, I mean, it's not. It's like even the. We can think back to the last big guy that really passed away.
Randy Savage. Oh, Piper Rhodes. Rhodes died right before Battleground a couple of years ago, or Money in the Bank, one of those.
Yeah, but I mean, they had everything ready to go. I mean, the only thing I would be weary of is if, say, something bad or say he passed away before SummerSlam. I mean, are they going to dedicate the whole pay-per-view to him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Instead of doing the Raw.
No,
I think, especially for someone the
pay-per-view and Raw and SmackDown and NXT and Ring of Honor and Global Force and New Japan will all be dedicated to him. Like every wrestling show that happens within the month he dies will be, if it happens. This is a little bit of a morbid conversation that we really shouldn't be having this. So let's go ahead and change the subject here to something a little bit more lighthearted. SmackDown, Baron Corbin went to cashed in his briefcase and was not successful. Got distracted by John Cena on the apron, and Jinder Mahal rolled him up and got the win. Chad, what are your thoughts?
I don't think it was a great idea, personally. I would have rather seen at the end, after the match, him come in, cash in the Money in the Bank on Nakamura if Nakamura won, or whomever. But I would have liked to have seen that, and then Cena distract him then to keep a feud going with him, or even if Jinder Mahal got upset and distracted him. Okay. Whatever. I would have liked to have seen it happen at the pay-per-view. I just think that what they did was kind of... It would have been neat to have a new champion. I know they wouldn't have done it. They should never do anything like that before pay-per-view, because you're not going to take the championship match away from Nakamura.
Right.
So you're going to have to put Nakamura in with Jinder Mahal, and then what do you do with Jinder Mahal?
Man with Baron Corbin.
Bad time.
All right. Well, Mike, what are your thoughts?
I actually like the fact that they had the Money in the Bank cash in when they did on Tuesday night, and I also did like the fact that he did not cash in. I mean, it's only the third time in history that this has ever happened. I mean, first time was John Cena, second time was Damian Sandow, and now Baron Corbin. It kind of brings back the surprise as to, well, will he or won't he? Because lately, I mean, it's pretty much been a guarantee. You win Money in the Bank, you're going to win the title. The reason I personally think they decided to do it on SmackDown, and we'll talk about the other topic a little bit later when we get into the SummerSlam pay-per-view. I just don't see them doing two Money in the Bank cash-ins in the same pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I just think, especially with the women having, it's the first time ever you have a Money in the Bank winner for the women. It just would have seemed weird if they decided to cash in. The only thing that I can say bad about the cash in is I think from watching the replays, Baron Corbin botched the surprise attack on, because it to me at least, it looked way too planned. And I mean, of course, we all know it was a spot, but it almost looked like he turned around way too early to go after Cena before Mahal was able to roll him up in the small package. I don't think he pulled it off well.
Okay.
It looked very, very sloppy to me for that whole sequence. But other than that, like I said, I liked it. I had absolutely no problem with it. I just never, even from when he won Money in the Bank, I did not see him as a top guy who could carry the championship.
Okay.
At this point in his career.
Well, I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you. I definitely see Baron Corbin as a top guy. Maybe, like you said, maybe not at this point in his career, but they've obviously got big plans for him. I've heard speculation that maybe they're getting a little bit upset with him, with his physique, with his inability to cut promos. Personally, I think that's a bunch of bunk, just because it's only been a month and a half since he won Money in the Bank, and just as of last week, he was put into a high-profile match with the biggest guy in WWE, the second biggest show in WWE. So, I mean, if they were upset with him, I don't think they would have done that. Personally, I think that I totally thought that they were going to pull the same thing that they did with CM Punk and with Daniel Bryan, that they were going to have Nakamura win the title from Jinder Mahal, and then have Baron Corbin cash in. I'm glad that they didn't do that. I think the idea of the cashing in before the pay-per-view, it makes sense. It adds that suspense, that surprise element to it. You never know when it's going to happen. Like when we were at Raw, Chad, with The Miz. I mean, that place exploded, as did wherever the heck they were last night. But Boston, yes, thank you. So I'm totally okay with it. I did not see it coming, which is kind of the point. Why would you want to be able to predict every aspect of the show? It's supposed to be the suspension of disbelief. You're supposed to be able to watch it as if it were a legitimate sporting contest. So I liked it in that aspect.
Well, and that's where, I mean, the most surprising cash-in that we've seen in a while was at WrestleMania.
Yeah, Seth Rollins,
when Seth
absolutely
cashed in. I mean, that was something that no one expected. It had never happened before. That was absolutely amazing. And he's one of the more successful Money in the Bank cash-in champions that actually had a somewhat decent run.
Right.
With the title, and came off actually strong after winning, because he didn't look like he was taking advantage of a really tough situation. Exactly.
It's like Rob Van Dam probably would have come off that way if he had not gotten busted for weed. But the only other one that I can think of that cashed in and came off as a strong champion was Kane.
Miz.
No, Kane.
Really?
Yes.
Over The Miz? The Miz was a great...
I thought The Miz was a terrible heel champion. I just disagree. I don't think The Miz was a good champion at all.
I think the problem was, at the time, he was too... If they were to put the WWE championship on him now, I think he would be a phenomenal heel champion. He's already proved it with the IC title.
Right.
But if you look back at when they did that with him, I just don't think at that time he was strong enough and had the maturity to be able to pull off a long-term heel run.
Right. Okay.
As a champion.
So we're just going to go up or down. Good idea, bad idea. Baron Corbin's failure to successfully cash in. Chad, good idea, bad idea?
I think the failure was a good idea, but I think the timing was bad.
Okay, Mike?
I think it was a good idea all around.
Okay, I'm also saying good idea all around. So let's move on. On Raw, they decided to have 2 SummerSlam matches on the Go Home show, and those matches are being redone at SummerSlam. Now, I don't know the reason for this. The first one is the first one I'm going to talk about is the Cruiserweight title change, with Akira Tozawa beating Neville for the Cruiserweight title. Now, this was supposed to be a match at SummerSlam. It still is. Neville cashed in his rematch, and they're having that match on the kickoff show at SummerSlam. So, Mike, what are your thoughts here?
I don't have a problem with it because of the fact it's the Cruiserweight title. I think that title really has not had a major push. It really hasn't had any relevance because Neville has done... he's done it extremely well carrying the title, but we're at a point right now...
Since the Royal Rumble.
Yes, exactly. Since the Royal Rumble. I mean, after Austin Aries left the company and requested his release, there really hasn't been too many people for him to have a solid set of matches.
Right. And Tozawa has gotten himself over.
Oh, exactly.
God loves Tozawa.
I mean, the question is, are we going to see Neville win it back at SummerSlam? I don't know. We can discuss that a little later, but I have no problem with that before the pay-per-view. And it also brings back something that's been missing on a lot of the WWE shows. I mean, it was great when AJ Styles won the U.S. Championship at a house show. Same thing now. I mean, it's getting back to where we can see as fans that unexpected. No one expected this to happen on Tuesday night.
Anything can happen in the WWE. It was on Monday, by the way. But it was on Raw. It was on Raw.
That's
Monday.
Right. It was on Raw. Title changes don't happen that often anymore on television. They're pretty much held for the pay-per-view. So, like I said, I loved seeing it. I think it was great for the Cruiserweight title, and I am very excited to see the match, the rematch on Sunday.
Okay. Chad?
You know, I'm actually kind of happy. I mean, not that I don't like Neville. I think Neville's a great talent. I think Neville did a great job as the champion. I just hate it when the champions have the belt for a long time. I'm very much against the heels having the championship, but it does well. It poses well.
So you would have really hated Bruno Sammartino then, huh?
Oh, absolutely. But I also don't like Brock, but we'll get into that later. But I think Neville did a great job, especially for me. The Cruiserweight was one of my favorite divisions when I first really got super into wrestling, and I like the Cruiserweight division. So I'm really excited to see that grow, hopefully. I'm glad to see the title change hands, and the only thing I see that's going to happen is Neville's going to win the championship back at SummerSlam.
Okay.
It just seems like one of those short-time champions. I'm trying to think of one of the last times I remember there was a champion that won a belt, and then like the week later they lost the belt. I forget.
Happens quite a bit. A couple years ago, it happened with Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio. That's probably the last time. I'm totally cool with Akira Tozawa winning the Cruiserweight Championship. I just think it should have happened at SummerSlam. I see no reason why they couldn't have had him win it at SummerSlam, get a big moment, and then lose it on Raw a week or two later, if it's assuming it's just going to be a short-term reign. And if it's going to be a long-term reign, then why wouldn't you want him to win it on a big show?
Well, and that's when you come to say, hey, it's not going to be a long-term win, because most of the times when they do win it with AJ being the exception now, is usually when they win it at one of the TV shows, or TV tapings, it's not really going to last long.
I think the reason they did this is with everything that's been going on right now in the WWE with cuts. They've cut certain shows and stuff like this. There's been rumors going around that they may cut the pre-show. And this would bring fans in to possibly watch now the pre-show.
Well, sure.
I normally don't have time getting ready for a pay-per-view on Sunday because my wife works evenings, so I'm dealing with 3 kids. And I'm lucky if I can get the baby down for a long-term nap so I can start the pay-per-view. I don't have time to watch the pre-show, but I'll tell you this. I will do my damnedest to watch the pre-show, this pay-per-view, because we now know that there could be another title change. There's more, to me now, there's more importance on this SummerSlam match now that he lost the title on Monday than if he would have gone in as the title holder.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay, one point that one of you guys wanted to bring up was the recycled promos. The fact that you didn't really care for the way that Big Cass played off the crowd and then pulled the same "I can stay here all night" that pretty much every bad guy and Roman Reigns uses when they get shut down by the crowd, because seemingly they don't know how to ad-lib. The only people that pull it off very well are like The Miz and John Cena, that just talk over the crowd or work it to their advantage. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, I tell you, the promos have gone drastically downhill. I mean,
it's because they're scripted.
Well, right, and you have a handful of guys that are pretty good with promos. I mean, the
Reigns
best
is not one of them. Neither is Cass.
No, Big Cass is terrible. Which but
he was
Enzo Amore.
He was pretty terrible back in FCW, though. Remember, he was pretty bad. We used to see Big Cass.
Oh yeah,
we used to see him back in FCW, and he was god awful.
Well, I mean, that was the reason why Baron Corbin stayed in NXT for the longest time, is because he was just bad at promos.
Yeah, well, he wasn't even there for that long, but not as long as Big Cass was, because Baron Corbin wasn't in FCW, but Big Cass
he was. Baron Corbin was at FCW.
Was he really?
Yeah, if you watch the Breaking Ground, he talks about being at FCW and how he was there at the start of NXT and everything.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, just I think that they're not focusing enough on the promo part, because I mean, the athletic ability of wrestling is a big part, but getting the crowd involved and getting the crowd to hate you, and it's like I think on the Stone Cold podcast with AJ Styles, he said, you know what, I'd much rather be heel than face, because it's so much easier to be a heel. All you have to do is make the crowd hate you. AJ Styles, I mean, he's great at cutting a promo. Enzo Amore is, other than the fact that I guess all the promos are scripted now, but Enzo Amore is
I get
the greatest new guys.
I get the feeling like Enzo is one of those people that is allowed to talk.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in other shows and things that I've read, the WWE has really put the clamp down on guys going off script. Unfortunately for me, I look back at the day and age where guys had to cut a promo. Arguably one of the greatest promos ever would not have happened in today's WWE, and that was Austin's 316 speech.
Absolutely.
King of the Ring.
Never would have happened. I think Austin still would have become Austin without that, strictly because of Bret Hart.
And I agree with that, but that moment in time and that Austin 316 says, I just kicked your ass, it was pure, it was honest, and that's what's missing in these promos. I mean, you can just tell with some of these guys in the way their eyes are moving, in the way that they're moving their body. They are trying to remember that script that was given to them. And for me, and we talked about this last week, and I continue to feel the same way, and I will always continue to feel the same way. This is why we need to have more managers in the business.
Agreed. Managers are a missing commodity, and why you would want to take away a commodity. Jim Ross talks about this all the time, like with his hatred of the fact that they've gotten rid of time limits. Why would you want to take away a finish? Why would you want to take away a perfectly good commodity? How many matches were decided because Bobby Heenan was there?
Or Mr. Fuji. Yep. Or, I mean,
Jimmy Hart.
one of the longest running storylines in WWE history was when Bob Backlund came back, and they continuously talked about the fact how Arnold Scotland threw in the towel.
Yep.
You know,
to the point where if he saw a white towel, he would lose his mind.
Yes. And so for some of these guys, like a Big Cass, a Baron Corbin, and a Roman Reigns, having that mouthpiece, I think would do them so much better than them trying to cut a scripted promo from some TV writer.
Right.
I mean, I think if they would have taken Enzo, and instead of doing this crazy storyline that they're doing, they would have had Enzo get injured and then had Enzo stay on with Big Cass, but be Cass's manager and Big Cass's mouthpiece. I think you would have Cass going further with a better run right now than he is.
Further, faster, for longer.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. The other person I will say that needs a manager is Titus O'Neil.
Are you kidding me? Titus O'Neil is a manager.
Well, now he is, but when he used to go stand out in the middle of the ring, couldn't remember where he was.
Yeah, no, he's maybe then, but now he's doing great.
Yeah, I like where they have him and what they're using him for. I think it's working well, but I mean, this gets back to the old topic of, I also think wrestling is missing stables. You know, I really think that they need to have more of those.
Well, then you need to be watching New Japan, because New Japan lives and dies by stables. Pretty much everybody on the roster is in a stable. You've got Suzuki-gun, you've got the Bullet Club, you've got LIJ, you've got Chaos, and yeah, you need to watch New Japan, because if you like your stables, you will like New Japan.
Well, exactly. I mean, because I go back into the day where you had Money Inc., you had the Heenan family, the Four Horsemen, you had
Heart Foundation, DOA, DX, Los Boricuas, Nation of Domination.
How about the NWO?
Yeah. The NWO. The NWO was a little bit beyond a stable, but yeah.
Well, it was originally.
Originally it was great as a stable, and then it just started getting ridiculous toward the end run with the red NWO and the white NWO, and then just
I
liked the Wolfpack, all right.
Yeah,
you did have red and black Sting.
There were parts of the Wolfpack that were great, and there were parts of the Wolfpack that were not so great. Believe it or not, I think my favorite part of the Wolfpack was Disco Inferno.
I forgot he was in that.
No. He wanted to be.
Yes, and he was doing everything he could to try to get into it.
And they would not let him in. Scott Hall kept saying, do this and you'll get in, do that and you'll get in. And it never happened. Poor Disco. Although I love Disco Inferno. I think he's severely underrated.
Oh, just like Goldust.
No, I think Goldust gets a lot of the credit he deserves. I'm very unhappy that we never saw a feud between Goldust and Shawn Michaels when he was the world champion, because I think that when you had like super gay Goldust versus the sexy boy Shawn Michaels coming off of his posing in Playgirl, I think that would have been an amazing feud. And I'm sure that it was supposed to happen, but I think it may have gotten squashed.
I mean, the promos alone that Goldust would have been able to cut with that material would have been... I mean, they literally would have been priceless.
I mean, the fact, like I say, I think it might have gotten squashed. Allegedly, the reason that Goldust faced Roddy Piper in the Hollywood Backlot Brawl is because Razor Scott Hall refused to work with him. So it was supposed to be a Miami street fight, got changed to a Hollywood Backlot Brawl. And apparently apparently O.J. Simpson was supposed to be part of that. Supposed to be like Goldust, Roddy Piper versus O.J. Simpson, or Goldust versus O.J. Simpson. I can't remember what I was reading. I think it was from Bruce Pritchard. But
and I couldn't imagine what happened with O.J. Simpson that would stop that from happening.
No, it was because of that, dude. Watch WrestleMania 12 again. Goldust runs away from Piper in a gold Cadillac, and Piper chases after him in what? A white Ford Bronco. And then they started showing footage of Roddy Piper chasing after Goldust, and it was actual footage from the OJ police chase.
Well, and
then
and another side story to that, Roddy Piper, I don't know why I remembered this, but he was doing an interview and talked about that match, and they asked him what was his favorite part about that match, and he said, well, they let me keep the Bronco. He goes, I went up to Vince, I had my farm. I needed another farm vehicle. I asked Vince if I could buy the car off of him. He said, yeah, I'll sell it to you. This is how much it's going to be. We'll take it out of your paycheck. And then the Bronco just shows up at my house, and he never took the money. And, I've heard that Vince has done that several times.
Yep.
The other time he did that was with Sparkplug Holly. They did the promos with him with the NASCAR, and Vince gave him the NASCAR when everything was done, and it was a $100,000 car.
He actually raced, and he was terrible. Okay, so it's been brought to my attention as if I didn't notice that we have gone way off topic. Surprise, surprise. So let's go ahead and get back to our format here, and let's talk about the Demon King, Finn Balor, coming to SummerSlam as the Demon. I hate it. I get it. I understand why they put Bray over Finn on Raw. Got it. They needed to have him channel the demon I get it. Why did WWE have to tell us that, we've just confirmed it will be the Demon Finn Balor against Bray Wyatt? Why couldn't him just saying, Bray Wyatt says he's got demons, well, I've got some demons of my own, and that's it? The crowd popped. They knew what he was talking about. We're not 5 years old. We don't need it spelled out for us. We know that he's going to be the demon if he says, I've got demons. And then the people that didn't get it don't watch NXT anyway, so they wouldn't know. And then he would come out, they'd recognize his music, and they would see this awesome makeup that they do for him, and it would be incredible. I don't know why they felt the need to spoil the fact that the demon was going to be at SummerSlam.
I mean, let's be honest. Finn Balor has been one of the most underutilized wrestlers on the card since he came back from his injury.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, how do you go from winning the very first Universal title to interrupting, Elias's promos and having this match? I mean, I personally think it was a mistake for them to have a match to begin with. I'm sick and tired of this whole 50-50 booking philosophy that is going on in the WWE right now. I mean,
right now for the last 10 years. Yeah.
10 years. Exactly. No, I mean, the question is, though, everybody is now expecting Finn Balor to win at SummerSlam. So does the WWE do the reverse on that and have Bray win again? I just think they could have done more to force Finn to bring the demon to SummerSlam than what they did in this match. I thought it was not a good match. I didn't like the way it ended.
They could have done everything they did after the match with him dumping that bucket on him and everything without there having been a match. They could have done all of that. The backstage fight, the bucket, everything, and then have him going to Kurt Angle to try to get a no DQ stipulation in the match, or to have that be the signing of the match in the first place.
Yes.
Clearly, they don't think we're smart enough to realize what the Demon Finn Balor is.
Apparently.
I mean, he's always been known as the Demon Finn Balor.
Okay, so you're just kind of in agreement with both of us on that.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
Okay.
Which a lot of the stuff that WWE is kind of.
Okay. And yet we still watch, so what does that make us? Okay.
Special?
Yeah. Just to be polite. Shield reunion.
I'm down.
Yeah. I think the way that they handled it, the timeline that they ran it on, it was very, very well done. The fighting, all of that stuff on Raw, it was great. They were reading the crowd. If they had gone any longer, they might have lost the crowd. But they hit it right on the nose, and it's still not complete yet. There's still one piece missing. And if Roman Reigns does rejoin the Shield, then Roman will be over again. That's my thought anyway.
Well, as long as he doesn't talk.
The crowd chants when they do the Shield stuff. The crowd chants, "We want Roman."
It's just because he's the biggest guy in the thing.
Roman Reigns in the Shield is very, very different from Roman Reigns, the big dog.
He needs to go to the pound.
Yeah.
I think, truthfully, the only way a Shield reunion works is if you have Roman say absolutely nothing, and you literally just have him act as an enforcer.
They should have done that in the first place. Okay, so we're kind of speeding through these last couple of notes. Shield reunion, great. Thumbs up, guys?
Great thumbs up. I got my predictions, but I'm going to save that for later.
Well, that's where we're heading. Mike, Shield reunion, thumbs up?
I'm on the fence. It depends on how they go with it at SummerSlam.
Okay. So, Mike, as always, waiting to see how it turns out before he casts a vote. That's why he tried to vote the day after Election Day, because he wanted to vote for the winner.
No. I'll when we get to the results portion, when we get to the prediction portion, I'll explain it a little bit more.
Oh, okay. So, big news outside of WWE. G1 Climax happening in New Japan. Finals came down to be between Tetsuya Naito and Kenny Omega. And both guys had won a G1 Climax tournament before. Kenny Omega last year, so he was going for back-to-back. Tetsuya Naito was the IWGP Intercontinental Champion until recently when he lost it to Hiroshi Tanahashi. And so this is kind of big. This could be a move up for both guys. Kenny Omega has had an ongoing feud with the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Kazuchika Okada.
God bless you.
Thank you. And Naito is very, very over. He's technically a bad guy, but in the finals, the crowd was so in his corner, it was scary. The Japanese crowds, they're pretty chill. They were not chill for this match. And they have matches in New Japan, and this one is no different. They're almost too good. Like, you're watching them, and this is what wrestling should be, but you're watching them and your heart starts pounding and your adrenaline is pumping. You're feeling the moves, and they work so tight. They do so many little things to make it come off as real that you really lose yourself in it. And the false finishes, they're real false finishes. Like, there is no way that he is going to... Oh, he kicked out. How did he kick out? You're begging the match to be over, not because you're not enjoying watching it, but because you, physically can't handle it. It's amazing.
Makes you feel like you're a child again.
Oh, 100%. It makes you feel like you're sitting there in the arena. Even watching it on TV, you're just sitting there. And the crowd is into it, and the commentators are into it. And they do so... I have held out on watching New Japan for a long, long time. And I finally started watching it, doing this podcast, and building my website. And I cannot believe that I waited this long. I've always said I was a wrestling fan, not a WWE fan. But I really just kind of stuck with WWE. I never should have done that. You guys, I'm telling you, New Japan Pro Wrestling is the best wrestling promotion in the world today. As far as pure wrestling goes, it is the best. I'm not exaggerating at all. If wrestling was all that mattered, New Japan would put WWE out of business in a week.
Well, and I think that's the thing, though, where, they care more about the wrestling than they do the soap opera entertainment.
No. They just have found a way to integrate it to where the matches are central, but the storylines still exist, and there are plenty of them.
I know the storylines exist, but you can just tell by the quality of match that it seems like they care more about the in-ring product than the out-of-ring product.
Yeah, that's because of the fan that they cater to.
Yes.
Right.
But it's not like WWE doesn't do well when they go to Japan. They do very well when they go to Japan. But New Japan, I'm telling you, you guys got to watch it. It's insane. Kenny Omega may well be the best wrestler on the planet today. But Tetsuya Naito, Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Zack Sabre Jr., I could just keep throwing off names, but I can't pronounce most of them. But Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Intercontinental Champion. You've got the Young Bucks there. You've got Cody Rhodes. You've got Michael Elgin, who I love. Like, this dude is he's like Vader. He's a throwback to Vader.
Everybody loves Vader.
Oh, it's just so good. And I'm just marking out big time over here, guys. I mean, you got to watch it. You got to watch it.
I haven't heard you this excited about anything since I've heard you talk about Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the only reason that I watch wrestling is because I've always watched it. And sometimes, then there'll be an amazing match like John Cena versus AJ at the Royal Rumble, or Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, or any number of matches. And it reminds me why I'm a wrestling fan. But New Japan did that 3 nights in a row with 3 consecutive shows. I'm telling you, on 3 consecutive shows, they had matches that could arguably have been 5-star matches. And I'm not exaggerating. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tomohiro Ishii. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. and then Tetsuya Naito versus Kenny Omega. Night 17, night 18, night 19. Those were 3. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm just gushing over here. I'm not really saying anything of substance, so we're going to go ahead and move on to Global Force Wrestling.
Actually, I read something about Tyrus, a.k.a. Brodus Clay.
Yes, no longer going to be working with Global Force.
No longer. Well, he's not going to no longer be working, but he's not going to be on screen because he feels as though he is a second-class citizen with them.
They brought him out on this week's Impact to do something with Congo Kong. So I don't know how they're going to resolve that if he's refusing to be on TV. But
well, I mean,
whatever.
The other thing, and he's just a nice guy. I met him once.
Yeah.
So.
This Thursday, Global Force Wrestling Destination X. Used to be a pay-per-view. Now they're going to do it. They do it in place of Impact, and they have for the last few years. The big matches on this card are Matt Sydal versus Bobby Lashley. The winner of that match gets a title shot of their choosing. You've got Taiji Ishimori is taking on Desmond Xavier in the finals of the Super X Cup. And then you've got Trevor Lee versus Sanjay Dutt. This is an interesting one because Sanjay Dutt is the X Division champion, but Trevor Lee has the belt. And he doesn't want Sanjay Dutt to steal it, so he has been actually wrestling matches with the belt on. It's been kind of interesting. It's a new little twist on the old, I want a title shot, so I'm going to steal the belt thing. I do know that Alberto El Patron was supposed to be facing Low Ki in a Unified World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't know if that's still happening because Alberto El Patron has been stripped of the GFW Championship. So this obviously stemming from his suspension and the airport incident with Paige. And so that's what's happening there. Nothing much of note is happening in Ring of Honor. In NXT, the biggest thing coming is that we've got Takeover Brooklyn 3. And with that, we'll go ahead and we're going to jump into our predictions. So we've already really done our analysis on these potential matches. So we're just going to kind of go ahead and we're going to say the match and say who we think's going to win. So Takeover Brooklyn, Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas. I think Gargano's going to take this one, guys.
I would agree with that one.
I'm calling for the dark horse, and I'm going with Almas.
Okay. Aleister Black versus recently heel-turned Hideo Itami. This is one of those this is one of those matches where either guy could win. I'm going with Itami.
I'm going with Black.
NXT Tag Team Championship. The Authors of Pain versus Sanity. I'm going with AOP.
Sanity.
I agree with you, Tristan. I'm going with Authors of Pain.
Okay. NXT Women's Championship. The Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka versus Ember Moon. Ember Moon has been able to take her to the limit. I see Asuka hanging onto the belt. I can't see her losing it. So if she does, it'll be a surprise. But I'm going with Asuka.
I'm going with Ember Moon only because I see Asuka coming out at SummerSlam.
Okay.
I'm going with Asuka only because I don't see her coming out until a possible, if it happens, Women's Royal Rumble.
Okay. NXT Championship. Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre. I got to go with Roode on this one, guys. I think he's having too much of a run. Remember, McIntyre requested it to be in NXT, so he's got plenty of chance to hang on to the belt. But the only reason I see Roode losing it is if he's coming up, and I don't see... Well, they are doing a superstar shakeup, so that could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen this time.
I'm going to have to go with the chosen one.
All right, so Drew McIntyre.
I'm going with Bobby. And like you said, I eventually think he will be pulled up, but I just don't see a place for him on the roster right now.
All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the big one here. We're moving on to SummerSlam. That's this Sunday. 4-hour show plus a 2-hour pre-show. So I hope you got time. Let's go ahead. We'll start with the kickoff show. The Cruiserweight Championship match. Akira Tozawa, the champion, versus Neville. Chad?
I'm going with Neville.
Mike?
I'm going with Neville.
I'm also going with Neville. So we're unanimous on that one. Tag Team Championship match. The New Day, it looks like it's going to be Big E and Xavier Woods versus the Usos.
I'm going to have to go New Day.
Okay. Mike?
I'm going New Day as well.
I will also be going for New Day because New Day rocks. They say so themselves. Okay, now on to the main card, I guess. Big Cass versus the Big Show with Enzo suspended above the ring. I'm going with Big Cass, guys.
Yeah, well, you can't go with Big Show. It's got to be Big Cass. Big Cass is going to win just because Big Show is going to put him over.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, I'm going with Big Cass on this one.
Okay. The unfortunately advertised Demon King, Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt.
I'd like to see Bray win and get a back-to-back win, but I have a feeling it is going... You don't have the Demon King show up for the first time in over a year to have him lose.
Right, and there also aren't unicorns and pigs flying everywhere. So we know it's not going to happen. I'm going with Balor. Chad?
I'm going with Bray Wyatt because there will be unicorns there because the New Day is there.
Oh, okay. I told you he was special, folks. Here, Chad, we can handle the predictions from here on out. You can just go back to eating your glue.
Hey, it's Bootios.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
We make sure you're not booty.
Oh, gosh. Stand in the corner. Randy Orton versus Rusev.
Corner.
I gotta go with Orton on this one, guys.
Yeah, I love me some Randy Orton. You know that, Tristan.
Yeah, I'm going with Orton as well.
Okay, John Cena versus Baron Corbin. This one has some interesting repercussions at this point, right? And some interesting stuff leading into it.
Baron Corbin does have a hot head, but you are dealing with Super Cena, but I'm still going to go with the Lone Wolf.
Okay, Mike?
I'm going with Corbin, but I don't think it's going to be a clean win. So,
well, Cena's been spending an awful lot of time on his back lately to up-and-comers, so I'm also going to go with Baron Corbin. All right, we got the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Naomi versus Natalya. No surprise here, guys. I'm going with my girl, Natalya. She's got to win.
I can't deny that.
But I'm also calling a Carmella cash-in on this one.
Yes.
So...
I agree
with you.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I mean, you can't have a pay-per-view in New York without her cashing this in, with her being the Staten Island princess. I just think, Natty's going to win the title, but she will then lose it to Carmella. I don't think they're going to be crazy enough to have the first woman ever to cash in a Money in the Bank lose it. So
yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
100%.
All right. Then we've got the Raw Women's Championship, Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks.
I'm going with Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
All day.
It's a wacky prediction, but I am going with I'm going with Alexa Bliss by disqualification from Bayley.
Okay.
See, I would have called it a different way. I would have called Alexa Bliss by disqualification from
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
I just think, we talked about it last week. I'm not sold that this Bayley injury is 100% or is actually, true. It could be a work.
Once the title shot went to Sasha and not Nia Jax, I pretty much gave up on that theory.
Really?
Yeah, because the talk was they were going to have Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam. If they were going to just have Sasha be in the title match, why not just put her in the title match? She lost a match to Bayley. All right, so you think Alexa's going to win. Chad thinks Alexa's going to win. I think Sasha's going to win. U.S. Championship, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens with Shane McMahon as the guest referee. I got to go with AJ, guys. Best in the world.
Yeah, he is the phenomenal one. I'm going with the phenomenal one.
I'm actually going with Kevin Owens.
Okay.
Because you're Canadian.
No, he's the new face of America. Remember that.
I just think something is going to happen with Shane as the referee, causing Owens to win the match.
All right. WWE Championship match. Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I was pretty sold on Nakamura winning this match, guys, and now that the Money in the Bank is out of the equation, I think he might win the match, but not the title.
That's a tough one. That was the one I wasn't looking forward to. I'm going to say that Jinder Mahal gets himself disqualified because of his group piece or
Singh brothers, okay.
Or even Kali coming in again.
Okay. Mike?
I think Shinsuke is going to win, and I do want to say I am highly disappointed with this match because we don't have Randy Orton trying to kill the Singh brothers. So
that's really been the highlight of the last 3 SmackDown pay-per-views.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just what will Randy Orton do next to the Singh brothers? So I'm going to miss that, but I think Shinsuke is going to pull this one off
and get the title.
I do. I think he's going to get the title.
All right. Now the big one, guys. Fatal 4-Way Universal Championship match, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman. And Lesnar and Heyman are threatening to leave the WWE should Lesnar lose.
Wait, we missed something. Okay.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No.
What about the Raw Tag Team
missed
titles?
The Raw Tag Team titles.
It wasn't on my list here.
Well, that's your fault. So
Yeah.
I am going on that one with Ambrose and Rollins.
It was on my list.
Agree.
I just overlooked it.
I'm going with Ambrose and Rollins as well.
Yeah, I can get on that train. I could see it going either way, so why not just go with the groupthink on this one? I see reasons for Sheamus and Cesaro to keep the belts, but I see reasons to give it to Ambrose and Rollins also. So, okay, now back to the Universal title match. Who do we think's going to win, guys?
Well, until what happened on Monday night, I was going to say Samoa Joe.
Okay.
I would say Samoa Joe up one side, down the other. But given what we talked about a little bit earlier, I definitely see with Rollins and Ambrose winning the tag team titles. Remember, the Shield has to have 3 titles. Everybody's got to have a title in the Shield.
Okay.
I think they're going to take home the Raw title.
Okay.
The Universal Championship.
Mike?
I agree completely. I originally thought Samoa Joe going into this one, and then just like Chad said, I think, especially with it being a fatal 4-way, and it's no DQ, Rollins and Ambrose are going to come in and help Reigns win the title.
All right.
And not to mention, Reigns did beat Brock Lesnar.
Reigns has never beaten Brock Lesnar.
No.
He would have beaten Brock Lesnar.
No.
Sorry.
Rollins pinned Reigns. Nobody has beaten Brock Lesnar except Triple H, John Cena, Goldberg, and The Undertaker. So, just saying. Reigns is not one of those people.
And Cain Velasquez.
And Alexander Overeem. With that livericiculitis.
No, it was Overeem.
Yeah, that was Overeem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going with Brock, you guys.
You are.
I'm going with Brock. I want to say Samoa Joe, believe me. I also want to say Reigns. But I really just think that they're not going to take the title off of Brock outside of a one-on-one match so they can put somebody over.
But they've already done that before.
And I also think that if somebody does win the belt, if I was in charge of the booking in WWE, the person to win the belt would be Braun Strowman. And then I would have Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble and take the title off of him at WrestleMania, just because that's where the logical storyline is going. But what do I know? I would have also had CM Punk beat The Rock at the Royal Rumble in 2013 and had Ryback win the Royal Rumble, because that was the logical progression of the storyline. But, so what do I know? But yeah, I'm going with Brock in this one. And because I see him sticking around for at least for another 6 months until WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, that's when his contract is up. So,
okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and move on here, and we're going to move on to what I think is my favorite segment, and we're moving on to the Ghosts of Wrestling's Past.
The spirit whose coming was foretold?
I am.
Who? What are you?
I'm the ghost of
Wrestling's
past.
Okay, guys, it was my turn to pick the throwback show for this week, and I picked what I've heard many people tout as the best pay-per-view of all time. That's Great American Bash '89. So I went ahead and watched that, and I know you guys did too. So we'll just kind of go match by match down the card. First of all, what did you guys think of the show overall?
I mean, I can honestly say I wasn't really the biggest fan of 80s wrestling, mainly because I was a child at the time.
You were three when the show happened?
Oh, yeah, I was 3 when the show happened, so it was kind of hard to relate to anything. I mean, there were some familiar faces, and then even watching it, you're just like, really, the 80s wrestling was full of long, blonde hair. I mean, you got Scott Hall.
Bright colors.
And Rikishi being thin, or thinner, I shouldn't say thin. You had
I don't think that guy was
Paul
ever
Heyman,
thin.
which I didn't even realize was in the business as long as he was actually in there, and he was Paulie Dangerously, and he was a tiny little thing. And then seeing the Fabulous Freebirds and whatnot, and then Hawk and Animal, it was nostalgic, but it was still very, very 80s wrestling.
Oh, yes. Okay, Mike, your overall take on the show. Now, first, did you ever seen it before?
No, I had never seen it before up until this one, when I watched it last week. I just don't see where people think it was one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time. I mean, the tail end of the card, yes, but, you know, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. I mean, that whole 2-ring for some matches, it just makes sense for War Games, and I liked it, you know, for the 2-ring King of the Hill Battle Royal.
What did they call that? Was it a Triple Crown Battle Royal? Is that what they called
Triple
it?
Crown. Yeah, they call it the Triple Crown.
I know it was a $50,000 battle royal. I couldn't remember the name they put on it.
And I know Theodore Long didn't have any teeth.
He did not have any teeth. Yes, and he was the victim of some very overt and yet mild racism. It was pretty interesting. All right, so let's go. Well, let me tell you, first of all, for the entirety of the show, I can see why people rate it up there, because the card was very top-heavy, and it was a really, really good top of the card. From about after the tuxedo match on, it was pretty good. Steiners versus the Varsity Club, the TV title match, the U.S. title match, War Games, World title match. All very, very strong matches. They had continuity going together. The early part of the show, though, like, I don't know, the Battle Royal was a little meh. I mean, on the WWE Network, they had edits on it because of, I guess, technical difficulties from when it was originally aired, so that entire Battle Royal got edited down to about 4 minutes, thank God.
Yeah, right.
And, but I can see why
like
people...
the concept, though.
Yeah, it was just in execution, it was terrible, in my opinion.
I agree.
However, I did like the finish. I really did. It put that the congruity of the team together. It showed that they were a team and they were about being a team, and that's what teams were in the 80s. I mean, very rarely, with the exception of like the Steiners and the Road Warriors. Did you ever really see the Road Warriors? And I meant Demolition, Road Warriors Light. Did you ever really see team members like voluntarily fight each other when they were put into that situation? And the Skyscrapers wouldn't do it. I liked that. So we kind of rolled right into that first match. So Chad, go ahead. We've already expressed our opinions on it. You go ahead.
I mean, it was good. It was definitely different, something I've never seen before. I mean, I enjoyed it. I like the concept. Hey, we're going to have a battle royal and then go into the next ring once you get thrown out. The hardest thing about it was the fact that it was hard to follow. Very hard to follow. I mean, overall outcome was pretty cool. I definitely liked the fact that You got two guys standing tall in the ring.
Okay, Brian Pillman versus Wild Bill Irwin. I actually was really impressed by this match. It was kind of a wild brawl, which you didn't really get out of Pillman in that era. And it was kind of cool. And Wild Bill Irwin was trying to just maul Brian Pillman, and Pillman would fight him off and then go back to wrestling, and then Wild Bill Irwin would go berserker again. And I don't know. I kind of liked that one. It wasn't on. It fit in with the bottom half of the show for sure. It wasn't a spectacular match, but I was entertained.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, not really seeing Brian Pillman unless he was with Stunning Steve Austin. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was fun to watch. It was definitely a good match to watch. It was. So I mean, I enjoyed it.
I liked it just because of the fact that, I got to see a young Brian Pillman pre-WWE, because I never really had seen him prior to when he came in. But yeah, so it was just nice seeing him, pre-coming to the WWF.
Yeah. So now we've got the Skyscrapers, Sid Vicious and Dan Spivey, fresh off their $50,000 win against the dynamic dudes of Johnny Ace and Shane Douglas. Am I wrong in saying that including the tuxedo matches is probably the worst match on the card?
Absolutely.
And so I am wrong in saying this, or you agree?
No, I agree 100%.
Agree.
Terrible
with you.
match.
It's bad when the highlight of the match was wondering how Johnny Ace was able to pick up that little fat kid so easily and then throw the frisbee around with him like that. I mean, I'm sorry, but that kid's parents were related before they were married.
Yeah, that family tree definitely did not fork.
No. No. And we're terrible people. And that kid's probably our age now, assuming that he didn't die when his meth lab exploded or something. But
well, it's good to know that my tax dollars are going to his welfare. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, God. We are bad people.
Terrible.
We are bad people. Come to think of it, that guy pretty much came off how we introduced Chad into the show, didn't he?
Are we sure it's not Chad?
Pretty sure.
At that age,
you would have been that size.
At that age, I was dirt though.
Yeah. Chad was an 11-pound, 5-ounce baby.
11 pounds, 2-ounce baby.
I'm sorry. 11 pounds, 2 ounces. Yeah. He was a sumo wrestler, too. He was a Yokozuna by force, so there you go. Okay. So we all agree that match is terrible, and the less said about the dynamic dudes ever, the better.
I mean, you can't still say anything good about Psycho Sid or Sid Vicious.
What? Are you kidding me? Remember, he is... You are half the man he is, and he only has half the brain that you do.
My point.
One of my favorite promos ever. That and when he, botched a promo on live TV and asked if he could start over. Jim Ross we're live, buddy.
That was priceless.
Yeah. And then let's not forget the time that he stabbed Arn Anderson 19 times with a pair of scissors.
It was 20, but...
Okay. Jim Cornette versus Paul E. Dangerously in a tuxedo match. Is it just me, or was Bob Caudle way too excited about two guys ripping each other's clothes off?
And he definitely voiced it about it.
Yeah,
too.
he was extremely excited about that.
I don't understand why he's not pulling that tuxedo off right now. I'm like,
come on, rip them clothes off, rip them off.
You'd think it was one of the old evening gown matches.
Yeah,
Ron panties matches.
Okay, so Jim Cornette beat Paulie Dangerously, one of the rare occasions when Jim Cornette was a good guy. If the only person that could ever make Jim Cornette a good guy would be Paul Heyman. That Paul Heyman could be worse than Jim Cornette. Yeah.
What was up with the cordless phone?
It was a cell phone.
No, it was not a cell phone.
No, but it was a cell phone. That's what it was supposed to be.
I get that.
He was so in demand. He was it was his gimmick. Why did Jim Cornette have a tennis racket?
Well, that makes sense. You can knock somebody over the head with it.
No. Cornette had that because of his mama.
And then, Johnny Polo carried a croquet mallet. Not a polo mallet. A croquet mallet. Go figure. All these guys had gimmicks. Fuji carried salt. Paul Heyman carried a cell phone.
He carried the cell phone gimmick even when he came into the WWE and started doing commentating after ECW.
Oh, yeah. He always had his cell phone in his pocket. Never really used it, but it was there. It was part of his gimmick.
I thought, if I remember, didn't he have it clipped onto his credentials?
Maybe.
For his first. Yeah.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Steiner Brothers with Missy Hyatt. It was the most random thing I had ever seen. Versus the Varsity Club of Kevin Sullivan and Mike Rotunda, going by his actual name as opposed to his WWF name, the vastly different Rotundo. So it was a Texas Tornado tag match. So all four guys in the ring at the same time, and the Steiners won that match. So what did we think of that one? I thought that was the first real solid match on the card. You had four really good guys in the ring there, really good wrestlers. I thought it was great.
It was definitely pretty good. I mean, different from the normal tag teams that I'm used to watching. I don't think I've ever seen a Texas Tornado match.
Really?
Yeah.
Like the Texas Tornado tag team match or a Kerry Von Erich match?
Both.
Okay. Mike, you were supposed to do your little Tony Atlas lap. Drop the ball on that one, buddy.
Hey, sorry, you were breaking up. I couldn't hear you.
Nice. Good excuse. I'll take it.
For me, once again, it was actually nice to see the Steiners pre-WWF.
Mm-hmm.
Before they came in and started wrestling there. So,
and a Rick Steiner that wasn't talking to his hand puppet.
Or barking like a dog.
Oh man. No, he was still the dog-faced gremlin, but he had a puppet on his hand.
Scott Steiner walked out with a blonde, and Rick Steiner walks out with a bloodhound.
Yeah. That's Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner for you. But the blonde was Missy Hyatt, so there's a good chance that just from walking from the entryway to the ring, he came down with 4 different STDs.
Could have happened.
Oh, pretty easily.
Okay. TV title match. Sting beat the Great Muta.
I still don't know what happened. I still don't know what the exact results of that match were.
Right. Probably didn't find out until Saturday night when they did their next WCW Saturday night. But the fact of the matter is that Sting's shoulders were down and Muta's shoulders were up.
But Sting's shoulders were only down for a count of 1. Muta's were down for the count of 2.
Right.
So
it was a very, very confusing finish. But the match only went about 8.5 minutes. And that match was white hot from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Like, they were flying around the ring, just beating the snot out of each other. It's matches like that when you have multiple of them on a show is why it makes such a good show. And that was the first of the 3 3/4, 4-star matches of the show.
For me, I don't know, as crazy as this may sound, the thing that I loved about the match, and it's something that you don't really see a lot anymore, especially in the WWE, was the 2 officials.
Yeah.
When Nick Patrick got hit with the mist, another ref came in.
Tommy Young.
Nowadays, you'd have that referee out cold, and then a bunch of crap would happen, and then all of a sudden the ref wakes up, and that's it. But to continue that match, keep it going at the pace they did, and bring another. Like I said, I love that old style. When it comes to that, I think it's something that's missing today. So,
all right, Chet, you other than still not knowing who won that match.
Well, I mean, it was great, nonstop action. I've always been a huge fan of Sting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, watching old school Sting was great.
Boy, is Gary Hart a good man, a good heel manager, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Yeah, definitely.
So, okay. U.S. title match. Lex Luger beat Ricky Steamboat via disqualification in a finish that almost couldn't have happened. Going into the match, it was supposed to be a no DQ match, and Luger pulled rank, I guess, and said that he wouldn't defend the title against Ricky Steamboat if it was a no DQ match. And Steamboat and the member of the NWA board of directors or the championship committee or whatever you want to call it, and Tommy Young all agreed that, or whoever the official was, might not have been Tommy Young in that match, but they all agreed that they would go ahead and have the match without the no disqualification stipulation. And then Ricky Steamboat hit Luger with a chair and got disqualified. Hit him repeatedly with a chair and chased him backstage with a chair.
Well, I mean, I thought he got disqualified because of the fact that Luger was holding the chair.
No,
he was.
Luger brought the chair into the ring, and the ref was trying to stop him, and then that's when Steamboat catapulted him into the corner, causing Luger to hit his head on the chair, and then he picked it up and just started going to town.
And that's when the disqualification came in.
Gotcha. I thought the disqualification happened when he catapulted him in.
It may have. I don't remember. I mean, I remember that happened, and that was in the replays. They showed that as the finish, but I can't remember if that was when the actual disqualification was
called. If I remember correctly, the ref at that point, Luger pushed him out of the way, and then that's when Steamboat catapulted him into the corner, and I don't think he saw any of that. So I think Steamboat picked up the chair and hit Luger in the back the first time, and then proceeded to, which is something have never seen before in wrestling, Luger taking a forward chest hit with the chair.
Yeah, that was interesting. He was just beating him all around, and he was whooping him in a circle. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the War Games match. Road Warriors, Midnight Express, and Steve Williams beat the Fabulous Freebirds and the Samoan SWAT team, who I had never seen and was really surprised to see that they were around on a large scale that early in their careers.
I can't believe that Rikishi was around back then.
Yeah, they had to have been like super early 20s.
Oh yeah. And he definitely wasn't as big as he was in WWE. Not popularity wise, just big,
right?
Wise.
Go ahead. Sorry,
but no, it was really cleanly done. It was another match that I had never seen before, but great. You're
talking about a War Games match in general.
Yeah, the War Games match in general.
Okay.
The 2-ring thing, it was awkward,
mm-hmm.
but definitely a neat concept.
The camera inside the cage helped.
It did, but again, there was just so much going on between the 2 rings,
right,
that it was hard to see exactly what was going on with everybody, and I think that it would definitely be something they should do again.
Yeah. One thing I really liked about the match was the fact that it actually felt like there was strategy involved. One, Michael Hayes keeping himself out until the end, and when you saw him and Paul Heyman planning who would be the next guy in, and just little things like that really made the match feel like it had some sort of gravitas, for lack of a better word. There was something riding on it, so they felt the need to plan, and it's just little things, which Paul Heyman is great at, and Michael Hayes is obviously great at because we're talking about it. They make the match.
Well, I love the War Games concept. I wish they would do it. It will probably never happen in the WWE because Vince McMahon didn't think about it. So God forbid we actually try it. I mean, that's why they came up with the Elimination Chamber.
Which is a pretty damn cool concept in its own right.
It is, but I don't know. There in today's day and age, I just think it would be something that would be a really interesting match, depending on how they do it, who's in it. By the way, Rikishi at the time when this pay-per-view was done, he was 23 years old.
Yeah, that's about what I figured. Okay,
but yeah, no, it was like I said, it's a great match. Love the way it ended. Like the fact that Hawk, they were trying to, they kept him in there when everything was over, and then, all the guys came in and cornered, the Freebirds and the SWAT. It was a good match.
Yep, I agree. So let's go on to the main event of the card, NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair going over Terry Funk. Chad, go ahead, your thoughts.
That was a tough one to watch only because of everything going on with Ric Flair. Really, the biggest thing was, decent match. I just thought the ending was better with everybody coming out at the end and causing some serious controversy there at the end. Just complete chaos. I've always liked it when the ending of especially pay-per-views had just what's going to happen next, not just a complete okay, well this is what happened. It's not so and so came out and then so and so came out and what's next that's going to happen. What's the next part of the story?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
No,
Gotcha.
it totally does. I couldn't agree more. I've always loved, when they would start off, whether or not it was a Monday Night Raw or a Nitro, after we went off the air, last night, blah, 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 this is what happened. And, they continued it over. It wouldn't be a classic Flair match if, Flair wasn't, well, Flair and Funk, if they weren't bleeding profusely. It was a good match. But once again, for me, the best part was the ending of the match when Muta came out, hit Flair with the mist, and then Sting came out, and it was just a good old, brawl. Yeah, it was a good brawl in the crowd.
Okay. Well, I thought it was a great match. I always like when the finishes are done with something you don't expect. So, Bret Hart, my favorite wrestler of all time, but Bret Hart did that a lot too, where he would end up winning with a small package or something like that. And we've seen it a number of times. Figure 4 leg lock gets reversed into a small package. Flair or Valentine or Santana or whoever used the figure 4 at the time would lose because of that. So it was nice to see a play on that where, Terry Funk reversed the figure 4 and then Ric Flair somehow reversed the small package and managed to retain the title. I did also appreciate the run-ins and everything at the end of the match. The fact that it happened after the match and not during the match also made the match feel more important. So, all in all, I think it was a really, really strong match. So let's go really quick on a scale of 1 to 10. What do you give the show, Chad?
I'm going to go 7 on that.
Okay, Mike?
Same thing. I was going to say a 7.
All right, I'm going to give it a solid 8. definitely above average. So with that, we're done with our Ghosts of Wrestling Past segment. Chad gets to pick the show for next week. So Chad, what show are we going to watch?
Well, since we were talking about one of the best pay-per-views of all time, how about we talk about one of the worst WrestleManias of all time, which was WrestleMania 9.
Okay.
Caesar's Palace, great idea. Maybe not executed as well because it's hotter than bejesus in Vegas.
First WrestleMania I ever watched live. I wasn't there, but I watched it live on pay-per-view. So that'll be a fun one. Show that's kind of near and dear to my heart. So, okay, so now we're going to go into our indie spotlight. And in something that will probably not happen again, we're going to kind of go back and redo what we did last week. With it being the first show, I thought I was more prepared than I actually was. I don't feel like I did justice to my friend and to his promotion, and just reflected really what a strong indie promotion they are. So I'm going to talk about Lucha Libre Laughs again. We're going to give this another shot. I promise, even if I screw it up, we'll move on next week. So, Lucha Libre Laughs was founded by Nick Gossert in 2013, and they're based out of Denver, Colorado. And they have a very unique concept for a show. They have a match, and then they have a stand-up comedian. During the matches, they have two comedians by the name of Sam Talent and Nathan Blund do commentary. And they cut up the entire match, and they make jokes. They don't take it too seriously. The matches speak for themselves, but for the most part, the fans are there to watch a comedy show. So while the matches themselves aren't presented as comedy, the commentators turn it into that without detracting from the actual athleticism of the match, which I think is a really, really difficult balance, and they pull it off very well. The show is hosted and emceed by a guy by the name of Bobby Valentino, and he's a throwback to like an old lounge lizard type guy. He's got the pedo stash, and he wears like a crushed velvet suit, and he's just really makes you uncomfortable to be around, which is kind of the idea. And they are a very adult show. Most of their shows, as in like 99% of their shows, are 18 and up. Occasionally they'll do a show at a festival or in a public arena, such as like a mall or something like that, to where it's an all-ages show, so they censor themselves, and they do a good job of doing that. The show that we were promoting last week was a show called Killing the Business, and their names are always something wrestling related, something wrestling terminology related, like they have a show called Smart Week, or they've got their next show coming up is called Breaking the Glass Ceiling. And that's actually a pretty big show because they're doing a 6-woman tournament, and they're going to be crowning the first ever Lucha Libre Laughs Women's Championship, which has been dubbed Colorado's Toughest Woman. And it's the belt is pretty cool. It says Colorado's Toughest Woman on it, and the centerpiece is a picture of Rosie the Riveter flexing. So it's really, really well done. They don't take themselves too seriously, but they know what they are. And so, like I say, they don't take away from the matches. They bring in a lot of big names. They had Kikutaro at their last show, Japanese legend. They've had Marty the Moth Martinez. They've got Blue Pants Leva Bates. They've had Colt Cabana, Chris Hero, and you know him in NXT as Cassius Ohno. Matt and Mike Seidel. So there's a lot of big names that come to these shows, and they're very well done. And Nick has been in contact with some TV people. I won't I won't say anything just in case it's supposed to be a secret. But there are people who he has been in contact with, and there are people that you would know in the TV arena for possibly getting a TV show. And he has done some comedy festivals around the country, and he's real smart about how he does this. He only brings his key people, his champions, his biggest names, and then he hires local guys from the area to fill out his card. And because he does the stand-up in between, he runs a 2 or 3 hour show, but he's only got 4 or 5 matches on the card. So he's able to run a complete show. You leave feeling satisfied, both as a fan of comedy and as a fan of wrestling. And you feel like you got your money's worth. You don't feel like you were shortchanged even by only seeing 4 or 5 matches. So if you're ever in Denver, and check out, it's at the Oriental Theater in Denver, take a look and see if they have a show. Check them out on Facebook. It's Lucha Libre and Laughs, the ampersand. And they've got a website, LuchaLibreandLaughs.com, and is spelled out in this one, A-N-D. So check that out. They promote their shows really big in the Denver area, and they're just I would really rate them as one of the top indie promotions that I have ever seen and been a part of. So I think I did a little bit more justice this time. One more quick point. I know I already said this, but breaking the glass ceiling, Lucha Libre and Laughs, they're kind of the first women's champion in their promotion. And it's going to be September 22nd in Denver at the Oriental Theater. So if you're in the area, go check it out. You will not regret it. So next week we're going to stick with the Colorado wrestling theme, and I'm going to be talking about another company that I've gotten close to, that I've worked with. They're called Primo's Pro Wrestling. I want to talk about them next week because they've actually got their biggest show of the year coming up in September. And this is a show, it's called Slave to the Death Match. It'll be the, I believe, 7th annual Slave to the Death Match. And it's a big show. They bring people in from all over the country, all over the world for this show. Fans fly in from all over. So we're going to talk about them, and we'll get some good info on that promotion and how you can check them out as well. Also, I forgot to mention Lucha Libre and Laughs. They do have a bunch of videos up on YouTube. You can just go ahead and search Lucha Libre and Laughs. You can also look them up by the promoter Nick Gossert. That's Gossert. So go check out some of their videos. Check out their website. Give them some views. Let them know you're out there watching, because they really deserve it. Well, hey, that kind of wraps it up for this week. We were totally trying to go shorter. We are 7 minutes shorter than last week, but at least you don't have to put up with 2 hours of my squeaking chair this time. So I think we did better. Of course, we still got some glitches to work out. So until next week, I'm Tristan for Mike and Chad. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. Keep watching wrestling.